Hey everyone, we're back. More MSEM, you know the drill. We've got some of our favorite league players here duking it out. We've got Aanginer here again up against Ducky. We're seeing some new decks, which is why I decided to hop back on the computer and give this one a check. We've got, I believe this is going to be Abzan Horrors. So we have seen this one in one of our previous league videos, but the one up here, totally new. Looks like a mill deck. There's Thought Paradigm. Looks like it's mono blue mill. So thought paradigm. My gosh, already mincing words, and we're barely a minute in. It conjures a data point into your hand, which is this cool little clue that just kind of hangs out here. But the important part is whenever you cast a sorcery spell, target player mills 3 cards. Now, what I just want to know is if we're milling the opponent or if we're milling ourselves or all of us. So Oracle's Vision, of course, each player mills 3 cards, and we're throwing that thought paradigm at our opponents. So it looks like we are going to be binning them. Funnily enough, the fact that we're binning a bunch of stuff is actually not horrible for your opponent because they're on Crypnar, and now that we've got 3 creatures in the graveyard, Crypnar is going to come back. But it looks like we're going for sort of a turbo mill. So Thought Paradigm, whenever you cast a sorcery spell, they mill 3 cards. It means that each one of your mills is like 3 additional mill, which is really solid. When you have cards like mill 2, mill 4, you've got your scry on these. This one can cast itself from the yard. Blank Pages adds additional cards, so there's a lot going on. It's really cool, which means that we'll be keeping an eye on this number here. But even cooler than that is the Crypnar here, that beginning of combat, we're going to be bringing back. And just, little Menace, Haste, Decade here will make a difference for cards like Abominable Xenoflora here. So there's no. Well, I'm not allowed to call it out, but we are missing Crypnar triggers here, unless it happened and I just didn't see it. Nope, looks like we just completely skipped on it. That's a shame here, because extra point of damage is an extra point of damage. Big one here is Whimsy. Whenever you draw a card, target player mills 2 cards, so that's just going to do a lot of work in conjunction with the other cards in the deck. And whenever you cast a blue spell, you get to scry one, reveal the top card, and if it was an instant or sorcery, you get to draw it. So Whimsy Mill has been something that's been tried before, so this is actually kind of exciting to see happen here. Over on the horror side, this is nice. This match is playing nice and quickly. We've run out Salome's Messenger, kind of a sticky horror from the bin. Molting Abomination. Oh, the opponent did not have to call that out. Oh, that's very kind of them. Definitely did not have to say that. That is a beneficial trigger here. And that is going to grow the Abominable. But really good on Aanginer then for saying, hey, it's League. I'm going to say it. In the Grand Prix, you probably don't. So Molting Abomination, whenever it hits, creates a stunned and tapped horror. Abominable Xenoflora grows whenever a horror enters, and Ash Feaster Ghouls can remove counters or move counters from permanents onto itself. And of course, it also doubles as a MDFC. The backland is simply a tapped land. So these are kind of our first real mainline MDFCs, so you won't see any of the MH3 kind of nut stuff. Okay, instead of drawing a ton of arrows, I'm milling you for all triggers. Alright, so Whimsy Mill. That's going to be mill 2 cards. What are we having next? I'm assuming we're going to fire off the Blank Pages. Yep, that makes sense. So this is going to be our first blue spell, and it's going to be a sorcery spell for here. So Thought Paradigm is going to mill 2. Right? 3, sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, there's going to be a lot here. 6. Yeah, actually, because it's whenever they mill. So that adds +2 to this one. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yep, mills 9. Wow, I love this conjunction here. This is pretty cool. Ducky's just like binning their deck at this point. I'm gonna close it. We know that there's Crypnars in the yard, so that's the relevant part. Correction, there's also Coalesce here, which is relevant. So the fact that these are here and there's enough horrors on board for them to just cost 1 mana each is not irrelevant. So that's a 7/9 and a 7/9, and you get to exile a non-horror creature. It's up to, so even if you don't have a target, you can still do it. Here's Oracle's Vision, but honestly, it kind of doesn't matter at this point. We had enough mill that your opponent just doesn't have a deck right here. So unless, yeah, unless we had something there, we were going to draw into a death. Wow, that was really spicy there. Blank pages with Thought Paradigm is really cool. We didn't have a chance to really look over the graveyard, but yeah, that's all you need, right? The fact that it not only doubles up your spells, but also doubles up the enchantment doing the work. Wow, that's just great. So, I mean, you are dropping a Whimsy, right? Which is like, that was a turn 3 do nothing turn. There are some decks that would definitely punish that, but the sheer amount of mill was really nice to see. Yeah, blank pages, really good. So players might have sideboarded a few things. Okay, it's really funny to see Fleeting Thoughts here. That's not a card I'm normally used to seeing ever. I guess if you have a creature, they can keep casting it, but is there really no better turn 1? I don't know. Maybe it's just you need a density of the sorceries that mill. Aanginer here has been mulliganing a little bit. We're keeping 6, so that's 4 islands, and against the waves and a Thought Paradigm. And then over here, we've got a pretty decent hand. This is also a Monument deck. There's a lot of the horrors that are 2-drops. So it's nice to see Monument getting some popularity. I know it's been one of our players, Zangi's probably favorite card for quite some time, and primarily used in a Ninja shell. So it's nice to see it come out of its shell and, you know, try some different things. So we've got a Salome here on 1. That's a Thought Paradigm on 1 here for the opponent's deck. Okay, I figured they were running Spilling Secrets. Spilling Secrets is really, really good. It's once each turn when 1 or more cards are put into an opponent's graveyard from the library, you can draw a card. So, really solid here. Monument here is great. You've got the Messenger just going to start chipping in. You can flash in either a Rattle Cage or a Debaser. What's really nice about Monument Debaser is Debaser's mill can be used at like instant speed, so you can hit them right after their draw step before they go to main. So we're milling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here, I believe. Yep, and then your opponent is going to draw a card off of that. Not what you want to see, all these islands. Filch is nice, though. Target opponent mills 4, you get to scry 2. Alright, so there's Rattle Cage, which means that next turn we have access to a Debaser hit. Of course, like, yeah, it looks really gross. Each opponent discards 2 cards. I think we're just going to pitch 2 islands, so it doesn't do quite as much. We've drawn our 3rd land. There's not really a target for Subdue False Idols, which, you know, obviously kind of sucks, but, alright, we're just running it out here. Totally fair. There we go. 2 islands hit the bin. Giving the +1/+1 here is relevant, so you want to speed up that clock here. So that's 7 damage. We're still at 46 cards in the library, and next turn we have 7, 8, 9. Yeah. Do we have anything in the yard? No. We have Endless, but that's not going to get coalesced anytime soon. So there's Filch, so milling 7. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's a Krypnar. That is relevant, actually. That actually might be the missing 2 points of damage, right? Because it's going to come back as a haste and get +1/+1. Your opponent just has to remember that it's in the yard. We can't do it for them. And yes, the really kind of convoluted rider you see at the bottom is just to ensure that you don't ever have more than 1 Krypnar. The whole point is that you only ever really get the 1 back. So, all right, another big mill. Might not be enough, though. Opponent still has like 28 cards. Up to them to remember Krypnar. I imagine you remember Krypnar. I mean, Pithwilt's also not a bad draw, but, I mean, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 with Krypnar. Okay. We remembered Krypnar. Okay. Krypnar. Whoa, whoa, whoa. You can't get back more. It's if you have 3 more creature cards and you haven't controlled a creature named Krypnar this turn, you return it from your graveyard to the battlefield. Just don't want players doing that wrong in the future. All right. Sorry, I'm just going to make sure that this is clear. You can check with the judge, but I specifically asked that. Cool. Just making sure. I mean, if the wording's unclear, you know, it's just we have to make sure. Alrighty. Let's see what we've got here. I mean, we're just seeing the same cards, you know. It's nice to see Wheat from Chaff, though. That's really cool. Glimpse Beyond. Interesting. It's not transformative, right? Draw 2, discard. It'd be really funny if suddenly we're playing Phoenixes. Uh, wow. Yeah, that'd be really funny. Okay, over on this side, that's not a bad start. We've got Messengers, we've got Monument into Abominable Xenoflora. And over here, you've just got the 1 land, but not like you need much more than that, right? The really important thing is like these early thought paradigms are turning every single one of these cards into mill 3s on top of what they're already doing. So really good stuff. So I'm guessing this is going to be the full Abzan, white, black, green. We just have to write the notes on the card. I'm assuming that's what's going on here. There we go. And then I'm guessing we're going to have a turn 1 Salome's Messenger. Hey, turn 2 Molting Abomination is not bad as well. Though, you know, depends how this is going to play out. So, we're milling ourselves now. Okay, maybe it is a transformative sideboard. I'd have to check the lists, but it is really cool that now we're going with milling ourselves to get cards like Ceaseless Stalkers. Very cool. I wonder if this is suddenly like, hey, my transformational sideboard. Okay, that's what I thought. Good. As soon as I saw these, I was like, I wonder if we're just going for the mill ourself plan for. I mean, which is fine. I mean, you were hurting your yourself a bit by putting those Krypnars in the yard, but not too much more than that. All right, I'm assuming this is going to be, or maybe not. Are we playing Duress? I mean, Monument starts doing a lot of cool stuff. So, I mean, I'm a big fan of, you know, an early Monument, and then you put out, I mean, you probably put out Molting so you can just start getting the hits and then drop Abominable Xenoflora. Yeah, you lose a counter, but you get this starting attacking on the next turn. So, all right. So Wheat from Chaff, I called it. There's the Phoenix. All right. So it's like Phoenix Ceaseless Stalkers. I don't know how you probably don't cast the Phoenixes, which is why these draw 2s discards are so important. And it just puts in a bunch of Phoenixes. I wonder what exactly the maybe the sideboard is just play sets of Firebird. So was it maybe probably 4 and then like a copy? I don't know. I'd have to check afterwards. This is really cool. It's funny that you switch from a sort of like turbo aggro mill to binning a bunch of stuff. So as soon as we cast, you know, our 3rd instance in sorceries, this comes back, which also brings back Ceaseless Stalker. If we draw a 2nd card, which, you know, happens all the time, this will come back. So yeah, very cool. Very, very neat. And a bunch of Against the Waves already in the yard for milling aplenty. All right, so we're bringing out the Xenoflora with Monument, which makes sense. We're going to pay black here for Duress. We're going to take one of our opponent's cards from their hand. It's pretty much a lot of the same thing. Probably Wheat from Chaff, just because that draws twice. Oh, geez, okay. I think personally I would have gone after the Wheat from Chaff just because, the clues lying around, but all right. The opponent picked Glimpse Beyond here. All right, so combat 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Running out this little Krypnar here. Okay. Yeah, okay. Sounds good. Krypnar gets binned. We forgot to create our... Oh, there it is. So yeah, the fact that we create horror tokens on top of it is what grows the abominable Xenoflora. I mean, the fact that we're not being aggro milled means like we're just caring about the phoenixes at this point. We got Pith Wilts. I mean, honestly, we're presenting a lot of scary damage here. We know that next turn, that's what, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 damage. So we're not killing on the next turn. 9, sorry, with the Krypnar in the bin. Yeah, really interesting here. Okay, so there's the draw. Illuminated Firebird triggers, comes back from the graveyard to the battlefield, and Ceaseless Stalker follows it. At the beginning of the next end step. Yeah. It's nice that it's not immediate. Alright, Thought Paradigm. We're going. We're digging. So there's still Whimsy, because of course you can still mill yourself. Blank Pages. I'm trying to see what we would have taken out. I'm assuming we take out all the just things like Filches and the just target opponent mills for kind of stuff because you're milling yourself. I'm guessing that's what was binned to the sideboard. Yeah, not finding many more creatures though is the thing. So all right, we milled a few cards here, so there is still a Corpse Gnar in the yard. There's Watch from Above as that should be the third one. So Firebird trigger enters, then we mill 2, and then we draw a card. Okay. Nice, we're keeping them as blockers. Yeah, the little trick with, I mean, I say trick. Firebird can't block, but the trick with Myoga Fire... I love how they're both Firebirds. Illuminated Firebird cannot block. It's much easier to get back from the battlefield, though. Myoga Firebird can block, but because it attacks each combat if able, you have to throw that out on a second main phase. So, and there's the Ceaseless Stalker. So, nice little board here. These two can block Molting Abomination, so that's the stun counter removed from the horror here. But if we can drop these two horrors, that's going to make quite a bit of a difference here on the abominable Xenoflora. Because now we're going up to, what, a 6/5? And then it's going to become a 7/6 because we're bringing back Krypnar. It's really nice how fast this thing is growing, not going to lie. And it has trample, so it will hit you. Yeah, alright. Just throwing it all in. Crypt, the 7, the 2, and the 2. Of course, the fact that this, whenever you cast your second spell, it comes back. Though it's going to be a little hard to do that now. So, especially if you're monumenting, you're not casting. So, there could be some blocks, but Firebird can't block. So, you've got two options here. Not particularly easy. You don't really want to block the Krypnar, so it's more of like, do you trade your Ceaseless Stalker into the Molting Abomination, and yeah, or do you throw, okay, we're throwing both in. Yep, I can get behind that. So that'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 damage only, but it does mean we're getting another tapped 3/2 horror here. Yep. And yeah. Yeah, the fact that we're still taking, 4 extra damage. Sorry, I wasn't even looking at the trample here. Um, so 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 damage, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. When we say, yeah, shouldn't it be 9? Yeah, sorry. We just gotta make sure players are putting their life total. Come on, man. Hold, please. Jeez. Okay. I know players sometimes don't look at the chat like while they're doing stuff, but like we just gotta make sure. Okay. There we go. Everything's fixed out here. So yeah, Krivnar changed to being slightly different. It's now Menace Haste Decayed, and it used to be uh, Lifelink Death Touch. I think was the joke because it eats you, so deals a little damage and dies. But we're like, hey, this is kind of a good card actually. So we switched it to Menace, which is fair, and I'm totally fine with that. So. All right, more milling going on here. This graveyard is like absolutely huge. Oh my gosh. But oh my, there is still a fleeting thoughts. I wonder if the reason you keep it in is for just the inscribe on one. That would be no, that would be super funny. You're not putting this on a ceaseless stalker. But yeah, four Myogas are in the bin now. That's kind of scary. So yeah, the deck is doing its thing. Are we gonna get the Myoga triggers? I would imagine. The question is, are you gonna mill yourself out? You don't, right? Kind of scary though that like if you're going that low and your opponent has something. I mean, you don't know what that monument could be. Not that it is something here in this case, but okay, yeah. So now against the waves actually has to be pointed elsewhere. So okay, looks like we're still. So yeah, there we go. That's the board coming back, and we're doing the second main phase to have a bunch of blockers. 1, 2, 3, 4. There'll be 5 attackers. Yeah, there's going to be enough blockers. And you keep yourself at 1 card. It would be so funny if your opponent was able to get that card off of you, and then you just draw and lose. Oh boy. And it looks like against the waves is milling 13. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yep. Phew. A lot of cards in the yard. Let's check what's going on over here. So something that is relevant is going to be how many copies of Subdue False Idols? Just the one? Okay. A lot of these would have made a difference, right? Let's say you ended up with 4. You could, immediately exile 4 of these and get a bunch of 7/9. So that could have been interesting. We don't really have the mana for Rattle Cage shenanigans, unfortunately. Okay, there's another Against the Waves. Hmm. Could be, is this... I'm wondering, well, okay. up to 2. It's not the full 4 though. I'm not even, if the deck doesn't run 4, that's maybe why we're not hitting 4. But there's still cards in the deck. So, because you can exile 2 things. Yeah, the fact that these are like 3/1s is relevant for like molting. So, interesting. Okay, a little late for that one. Oh, and this only taps for black. We didn't have the white. I was assuming maybe we could draw something, but yeah, Mirror Gate, not what we want in this matchup, that's for sure. But hey, at least we have the 1. I'm not sure we just have it because the opponent next turn has 13 in the air. The problem is they're going to mill you out, right? So they have to block, but I mean, they have enough to block everything, right? Yeah, the 1 damage from Krypnar isn't going to do enough, I think. So your board gets blocked and cleared. The Firebirds are back in the yard and can just come back anyway next turn because you're going to be able to probably cast 3 spells. Against the Waves draws you a card. Glimpse Beyond can just be played for the draw. I mean, actually, I'm saying that, but we are down to like 5 cards, so we have to keep casting against the Waves first, right? I do think this is just going to be it in terms of we have an Against the Waves, and we know it's just shuffling against the Waves, so the Against the Waves are just cycling themselves at this point. Yeah. Yep. I think that's largely going to be it. We're at 5 cards. We know we were down to 1, so we know pretty much everything that's in here is against the Waves. So when there's already enough against the Waves in this graveyard, right? Like you can see them right here. So yep, all island basics makes it a pretty Mirror Gate proof. Yeah, I think it's just the writings on the wall here. Your opponent's at 14. I think just even a single against the Waves is enough. So, I mean, there you go. Against the Waves should be enough cards to just mill everything out here. I love how it's the sideboard plan, which allowed us to block a little bit, but then we just did the same thing. We just went, hey, my deck is empty. Let's just fire off the Against the Waves. Wow, that was a really interesting matchup, and it was very funny to see. What I thought was not going to be a Phoenix deck ended up having some Phoenix, but it's not a Phoenix deck, so I'm not going to put that on on our thumbnail. So, and yeah, the mill kill when you sideboard into self mill. But you know, that's just how it works. Sometimes you get low enough that you're Against the Waves are just, you know, hitting your opponent. So there you go. Hopefully you've enjoyed this other match. We're happy to have you spectating, and we'll see you in future videos. You can expect to have the MSEM format update sometime in the next coming days on October 1st. And aside from that, yeah, hope you had a good one.